Let me show you 3 ways to elevate your InDesign layouts with Adobe Express. In this video, learn how to use InDesign's brand new Export to Adobe Express option to translate documents to another language, add simple 2D animation, and resize pages for social media posts. So let's jump in and get started. On my screen, I have an A4 magazine layout with a cover page and 3 spreads. Now I'd like to get this over to Adobe Express. In the latest version of InDesign, you're now able to do that. Let me show you how. Make your way up to File, and then choose Export to Adobe Express. And that will automatically upload and open in Express. The first way to elevate InDesign documents in Adobe Express is the ability to translate content to multiple languages. Let me show you how. With the magazine document now open in Adobe Express, click on the Translate option in the top menu. This launches another menu on the left side where you can apply translation settings. For example, I can choose Italian as an option. You can choose multiple languages to translate to all at once, but to keep things simple, I'll select just Italian. You also have the option to choose the tone of voice, formal, informal, or don't change the tone at all. I think in this case, I'll choose don't change the tone. You can select all the pages to translate, or you can choose each one individually. Keep in mind this does not overwrite the English version. In fact, it creates 4 more pages with the translated version. Once you have these settings in place, go ahead and click Translate. This takes just a few moments for Adobe Express to generate the translated pages from English to Italian. And once it's finished translating, you'll notice the additional pages will appear and automatically open. You can see I still have my English pages up top, however now I have the Italian versions down below. I can double click the cover and you can see that the masthead and the other text frames have now been converted to Italian. Now, even though this uses AI to generate seamless translations, it's still encouraged to check for accuracy. The second way to elevate InDesign documents in Adobe Express is adding simple 2D animation to objects. Let me show you how. I'm on the second spread in this magazine, and I'd like to add some animation to these light fixtures. Now, these both come in as a group, and if you'd like to select them individually, click on the group and then click on the one that you want to select. So there's the large light fixture and there's the small light fixture. Now with them selected, you can add animation by clicking on the animation option in the left menu panel. Go ahead and click that. That will bring up various preset options that you can choose from. Now I want these light fixtures to drop in from the top of the page. There is an option here for drop, and you can see a little preview of that. If I hover over, you can see that the light drops in. I'll go ahead and click that. You can add some additional settings by clicking the settings icon within the preset. Here you could choose the duration. So for example, if half a second is a little too quick, you can set the duration to something like 0.75. You're also able to change the personality of the animation. So think of this as the strength in which the animation plays out on the page. Right now it's set to strong. In this case, I think I'm going to choose smooth. You have the option for the animation to fade in, and then of course you could choose the direction you want it to appear from. I'd like for the animation to play from the top and move down. Now I can go ahead and set the same animation to the larger fixture. Go ahead and click that one. Click on Animation, choose Drop. Click on the settings icon and change the duration to 0.75, and the personality here is also smooth, and all the other settings are fine. Now once you set an animation, you'll see a play button in the bottom left hand corner, and you can play that to see how it'll appear. And you can see currently it's coming in at the same time. If I click on Edit Timeline, that shows a timeline at the bottom of the screen. There's another setting down below where you can show the layer timing, and this is where you can adjust the timing of each light fixture. So for example, if I click the smaller one, and I want this to appear about half a second after the animation is activated, just click and drag the beginning of the layer to the position you want it to play. I've dragged it to about the 4.5 second mark. And the same thing for the larger light fixture. Click that. And once you see that that first one appears, we could set this one to maybe 4 seconds. And of course you can play it out to see how it'll look. Play, 1, 2. I think I'm happy with that, so I'll leave it as is. Now this is the only page that has animation, and of course if you wanted to export this as a movie file or a GIF, you could do that by clicking on download, and in these settings here, the file format, you could choose an MP4. You can also choose the video resolution and then click download. But even if you don't download a movie file, this will still play out as an animation on the page, which just gives it a nice touch. The third way to elevate InDesign documents in Adobe Express is resizing pages for other applications or to share on social media. Here's how. Now, this is more of a marketing tip than anything, but let's say I wanted to share the cover of this magazine on Instagram. I could download the PNG and just share it that way, but of course that's not the proper size for Instagram. If I click the resize option in the top menu, this gives me options to resize the page to what I want. So for example, under recommended, I can choose Instagram square post that's 1080 by 1080, and I could choose an Instagram story which is 1080 by 1920. I'm just going to click duplicate and resize, and you can see that adds the 2 pages right after the cover page. I'm going to deselect the cover page and drag these to the end of the document, right after those Italian versions. Now if I double click the 1080 by 1920, there is some adjusting you have to do. First, I'm going to select this top frame and the text box and just drag it down so it snaps to the cover of the magazine. It also appears like the masthead was shifted, so I'll move it down a little bit here, just like that. And then you can adjust the rest of the content, move the teaser headlines and other details into position. Now, because this cover is being shared on Instagram as a promotional piece, you just have to get the content as close to its original position as possible. Of course, you can always reference the original to ensure you're on track. And you can see there are helpful smart guides to make things easier when maneuvering the content. Overall though, this is just another great way of showcasing your InDesign content for social media. Now that I've gone through that process, I'm just going to select all the content, scale it down, and center it to the page. You notice there I just had to unlock the background first. Now I can select all the content and scale it down and center it to the page. So now I have all this white space in the back where I can add a background. So if I click on elements, and then I'm going to search beige gradient, for example, and click that beige gradient. Under backgrounds, I'm going to click view all, and then just choose one that might fit the theme of your magazine design. I think I like this version here. All you have to do is click it once and it'll be added as the page background. And you can see, there it is. If I double click it, I can adjust the background. For example, I'd like to rotate it 90 degrees and scale it down to get more of the gradient details. If I zoom out, now I can adjust that accordingly so it snaps and you get more detail. I think something like that looks good. Center it to the page. Go back to your view settings, zoom to fit page, and that looks good there. And you could do the same for the other page. I'll go back to my pages here, and it is the last one here. And the same thing applies to the square Instagram post. You'll have to adjust all the content on this page as well. You can see that all the text frames are shifted, and Adobe Express does its best to adjust all the content to the new page size, but there's still some work to do. So much like the first Instagram story page, I'll just adjust the teaser headlines on this magazine cover. Again, I'm just going to snap all the text frames and align the left side edges with the masthead above. The smart guides and distribution guides make this process much easier. There's just one more text frame sitting outside of the page, which I'll bring back into position and place on the page here. Once you have all the fine tuning done, you can go ahead and select all the content, and we'll once again just scale it down much like we did. I'll just unlock the background again so I can select it all. Then just scale it down and adjust the content to the center of the page, much like we did in the first example. I'd like to add another background to this Instagram post, but this time I want to add a white marble background. So in the Elements section, I'll search for marble background. Once again, find a background that fits the theme of the magazine. I like this version here, so I'll click it and add it as my Instagram post background. So that's it. Just like that, we used the resize tool in Adobe Express to create 2 Instagram size pages to share on social media. You could download each individually by clicking on the download button and choosing a file format. You can also click the pages icon to view all the pages and bulk export. For example, I could select the 2 Instagram assets, go to download, and export them together. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video on 3 ways to elevate InDesign documents with Adobe Express. If you found it helpful, leave a like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all my latest tutorial videos. If you'd like to learn more about Adobe Express, check out the video above. Until next time, take care and keep creating.